and Jillian. I'm sure there's many gentlemen in this room that she was our heartthrob in those days. And it looks like she still can be. So. But to present Anne Jillian, or Mrs. Andy Murcia, Andy Murcia will present his lovely wife to the National Lithuanian American Hall of Fame.
Sure, after 3 wines and 2 professional speakers, 3. And before I even start, Arnold, I am so delighted to be in your company as an opera fan. Both Anne and I in retirement, we love you. And with due respect to our fellow thespian over here, Vito, we love you too. But this guy is really something over here. And I think this is the way John gets revenge on Chicago Police Department. He knows that I'm an old retired Chicago police sergeant who was fortunate enough to meet Anne way back in the 1970s. She was staying at the Ambassador East Hotel, the pump room and all that, with Sammy Kahn's Words and Music show. And I had this Irish detective who worked for me at the hotel. I used to moonlight there as security director. And he said to me one night, he said, I think we have a Russian spy staying in the hotel, or a hooker. So I said, what makes you think that, Joe? And he said, well, he said, she'll be coming in any minute, you'll see. The eye winkers out to here, a lot of makeup, not a Chicago girl. It's all right, and just then this beautiful redhead, she was a redhead in those days, came in, and she's singing, la, da, 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 da. You know, wanted everybody to know she was a singer. We didn't know it, we thought still that she was a hooker with all the makeup. So we watched her go up to the room in the elevator. She came back down a few minutes later, and I said, Joe, let me check her out. And I said to the maitre d' at the then Buttery, the disco across from the pump room, I said, sit her at the bar and I'll hit on her to dance, and I'll see what she's all about. I'm in plain clothes. So she comes up, and I didn't know that she had heard me, but she, guy said, would you like a table, ma'am, or would you like to sit at the bar? And she said, I'll take a table. And she started walking towards the table, and she turned around, and she looked right at me, and she said, and then you can hit on me to dance. So I went over, and I asked her to dance. I checked her out, and I found out underneath all that makeup and the eye winkers out to here, there was a very real Lithuanian, Little Miss Republican, wholesome girl. And she sits right over there tonight. I knew her then as Anne Jillian, Sammy Kahn's torch singer, but you know her more as Ruta Nausedaiti. Anyway, the reason being why she doesn't use her Lithuanian name, Ruta Lee, our dear friend, is because Walt Disney himself changed her name with Mamita and Anne, who was then her manager, the mother, sitting in Walt Disney's office of all people. He said, I'm sorry, Miss Maceda, but we cannot put, that name is just too long for the marquee. He said, perhaps we should change it. So she was doing a movie called Babes in Toyland. She was going to be Little Bo Peep. And Jack Donahue was the director, and he had a daughter named Jill. So he said, why don't you take Anne and Jill and put an I in the middle? And if you look on the old credits of Walt Disney, you'll see Jilliann. She lost one N along the way. Anyway, I met her, and I found out this was no hooker, this was no Russian spy. She was a wonderful Lithuanian girl. I learned more about the Lithuanians through her mother and father, Tata and Mamita. My son speaks Lithuanian fluently, thanks to them both. And Vita, your story, I won't go into detail now because you took my story away, you son of a gun. Anne's father, because it's much like your father. He came here, and he didn't have such a good job as your father, though. As low on the Richter scale it may have been. Her father cleaned bathrooms in office buildings with a mother at night in Woodland Hills, California. And that girl right there helped him clean those toilets at night. That's what kind of a Lithuanian family they were. And they pulled themselves up and they hoped for something better and great for their daughter. And they got it. And when she made hers, she took care of mother and father. I can assure you, I saw it with my own eyes. I learned about these people, and I learned about your heritage and your culture in many, many ways, and too numerous to mention now because it's a long evening. But I got to tell you, I have, even though my father came from Spain, my mother from Ireland, I have more respect for your culture and your heritage and your struggle to be free through Tata's story and Mamita's story. My Lithuanian is not so good. I can say labas, I can say ačiū, I can say sutiavo, and I can say, because I ate with Mamita and Tata so often, I can say druska and papirai. So that's about it, but without further ado, I just want to give you a little capsule form of my wife, 3-time Emmy nominee, Golden Globe Award winner. I'm very proud of everything that she's done, but probably most proud for all of you when she was a co-host of the old, you remember the Hour, Gary Collins' Hour magazine show, you know that. And she was the co-host for that week, and Gary asked her if she could cook at all. Well, it's like the old Henny Youngman joke, you know, my wife said, take me someplace I've never been before, I take her to the kitchen. That's where I take Ann. She didn't know cooking in those days. Now that she's retired, she's pretty good. But I got to tell you, so she said, yes, I can cook, because her mother always told her, listen, you say yes to everything and you take crash course. So we called up Valerie Baltusis, who was the best Lithuanian chef that we knew in Los Angeles. Valerie came over, a dear friend of the family, and she taught her how to make a Lithuanian goose on TV in her full Lithuanian dance costume. And she pulled it off, the son of a gun, much to her acting stripes, because she didn't know what the hell she was doing, but she did do it. And I was very proud because Gary asked her, he says, and I thought he had her here, he said, what's the difference between a goose and a duck? And she thought for a minute, and she said, one goes honk and the other goes quack. And with that, I'd like to, and by the way, wait a minute, Ann, sit down a minute. I'm a big fan of that guy over there in the Moneyball. I know you and I've seen you in pictures, and you're good, man. And I'm an old manager in Hollywood, but you're a great actor. So, please welcome my wife. Oh, I forgot to tell you one thing. Sit back down again. Sit down, Vito. I got to tell you this. I love Lithuanian women so much, I married 2 of them. Yes, one is in heaven now, beautiful Elaine, but she gave me a beautiful daughter. Stand up, Denise, that's my daughter right there. She's Lithuanian. And that's my granddaughter right there next to her, Emma, who I'm most proud of. Another granddaughter couldn't be here tonight, and her husband. But anyway, and the second one, of course, is Ruta, now Sadaiti. Come.
Thank you so much. It's a treat to be with people that are a part of your heritage, and you can hear them speaking your language. Much like Arnoldas, I speak Lithuanian. I think my grammar in Lithuanian, if I wrote something, would have been disastrous. So I will say a few things that in Lithuanian that I can, but basically I just wanted to say at the very beginning, thank you, Andy, for the introduction. He was a sergeant in vice control, and that's, as he's told you, that's not really how we met. But at any rate, it's thank you for your introduction, Dad, and thank you also to the National Lithuanian American Hall of Fame for this honor that you're bestowing on all of us. Congratulations to my fellow inductees, Arnoldas and Raimondas and Vito. Valeu. Congratulations to you all. And a special thanks to my very dear friend, she's a very sweet lady back in California, Ruta who was very instrumental actually in getting me over here today. So thank you wherever you are, miles away, Ruta. Just over 2 years ago, President Dalia Grybauskaitė addressed the Parliament of the European Union. Her purpose? To set out the priorities of the Lithuanian presidency of the EU Council. Before I share her words with you, consider the enormity of that fact. How in barely 2 decades, our beloved homeland's position has changed. Out from under the boot of communist oppression, catapulted to the leadership of continent. Lithuania's rapid transformation since independence has been startling. But then again, it probably hasn't come to a surprise to many of us who, in keeping with the mission statement of the National Lithuanian American Hall of Fame, will never forget that Lithuanians are heirs to an epic history and a rich culture. Lithuanians' leadership on the world stage is just the latest testament to the greatness of its people. A people who traded with ancient Rome on the Amber Road, who with the founding of Vilnius University in 1579 cultivated science and culture in Northern Europe. A fiercely independent people who, after so many years of occupation, would not be broken. And who in the January of 1991 would not be silenced. The achievements of the Lithuanian diaspora are no less incredible, particularly here in the United States. Lithuanian Americans have led the way in politics, art, business, and of course, basketball. Yeah. I am honored, and I am humbled, and I am touched to be recognized tonight for my own modest contribution to that legacy. I am Jūratė Nausėdaitė. My mother and father, Margarita and Juozas Nausėdas. My father was a captain in the Lithuanian Air Force in the old country. And he was decorated with some of the highest medals that the Air Force has to offer, including Plienų sparnai. Like many brave Lithuanians, they endured much during World War II, and they fled Soviet occupation in Lithuania to the shores of freedom and opportunity here in America. They made the journey by way of an American sponsor who was a fireman in Massachusetts. His last name was King. And today, I am standing here before you because of the sacrifices of my parents, because of the sacrifices in the old country and also here in the new country to give their children a better shot at life. And yes, that's true. In retirement, while I was still not working to my full capacity, my parents did work at a medical facility, cleaning those sinks and those toilets. But in my heart, I wanted to get them out of there and to the place where they needed to be, and that was enjoying life at home with us, with their family. So when they came here and I started working in the industry, I felt it important that people also know that I am of Lithuanian heritage, that I spoke Lithuanian. I told them about the struggles of Lithuania, and they have brought me here today. During her address to the EU Parliament, President Grybauskaitė said, "It is our shared duty to lead by example. And while the outlook remains stormy, Lithuania is well prepared for the challenge to chart a way all the way through. Lithuanians have always risen to the challenge, and I have an abundance of faith that in our troubled world, Lithuanians and Lithuanian Americans will continue to chart the way to a freer, brighter, happier future." Ačiū labai. And perhaps as all of us leave here today, we will have in our hearts the words that are at the end of our Lithuanian giesmė, our anthem. Tegul saulė, tegul meilė Lietuvos, tarp mūsų širdyse, vardan tos Lietuvos, vienybė težydi. Dabar ačiū labai.